What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about ChargePoint, go over some of the current data points, what's been really coming out from the company itself, and where I see things going from here. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So ChargePoint went down 3.36% on Friday. So $1.13 the low, $1.20 the high. Kinda highish volume, so 14.6 million for volume, 16.2 is the average. So it did relatively okay, especially in comparison to a lot of other growth stocks. Didn't really get a fraction of their average volume, so I guess that's kind of a good thing. Bad thing though is majority of the volume is coming from algorithmic trading because you're not seeing a lot of big transactions on the secondary market. Last one was on the 5th and that was a sell. So even as a byproduct from their earnings, it didn't really drive up any demand. And so that's kind of the negative side, I guess, of their earnings. And honestly, even looking over here, like they haven't really put out any news since their earnings, which was at the beginning of December. But nonetheless, my last video was right before that, just on some expectations, why I did feel it was going to go higher, just because of the bar, how low it was set. And you can kind of see they did, despite that, come in line with the earnings per share, so not the best for that. And then the revenue, they did beat by 10.03 million. And their future guidance, I think that was hit and miss ultimately, but still, I think just because of the low bar, that was just more of a momentary blip that was going to cause it to go higher. I even stated on my Patreon that it was a buy post earnings, but to be very cautious, only because shorts make up majority of the volume. So on a daily basis, still nothing has changed. So majority of the volume does come from both algorithmic trading as well as shorts. And with that in mind, shorts are able to do whatever the hell they want. So since their earnings, that blip did cause them to go down a little bit. So short interest right now is 27.9% of the free float, and that works out to be 113.94 million shares. On Friday, shorts did increase 139,000 shares. Cost of borrow average is 12.67. Utilization is 97.13. But still, like, in reality, the short interest is very, very high. And even it caused, because of their earnings, for it to go to like 31.25% to where it is now. So yes, shorts were just overextended a little bit with ChargePoint. And so that aided in it kind of going higher. But all in all, I think ChargePoint didn't really give what the market really did truly need in order for it to stay at those levels and kind of move higher. So regrettably, I think this is where it will continue to trend down because of that. So there might be more pain coming, which I do hate to say, but even if you just kind of zoom out looking at the 1-year chart, it's been horrific. And I've been covering it probably too long, ever since it was, I think, roughly around this kind of price point. And they did have a lot of good opportunity to piggyback off of the whole EV thing. Like, I'm sure they could have done some strategic partnerships earlier on, but management just sat on their ass, didn't really do all that much. They expected just the whole EV boom just to continue to drive it higher. Interest rates, inflation, that also really damaged it. Potentially one thing that could help next week though on a short-term point is this right here. So a 25 basis point cut for the December 18th meeting that is anticipated. So right now there's a 96% likelihood of that occurring, but all in all, you're still not seeing that level of buying coming from institutions that would be adding good support levels. So that's just my viewpoint, of course, but calls 85,000 being done on Friday, 14,000 in puts. 47% of all the options being done on Friday were optimistic in nature. And of those call options, you see a consensus for it to be back above $1.50. More so next week-ish. So I'm not really sure the basis of that, unless there is something specific to the company that they're doing, maybe participating in a fireside chat or something, or maybe it is due to the Fed's cutting rates. That might be a good kind of reason for people to buy it, but still the bears are anticipating for it to be sub roughly $1. But no matter what, just the dollar value getting into ChargePoint through options is very, very low. As of right now, with it at $1.15, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 109 is going to be the next strong support. And of course, if that does break, then you'll have $1.01, then 87 cents. But flip side, $1.22 and then $1.36 are going to be the next strong target / resistance points. So kind of bounce off this pivot point of $1.22, so something to keep in mind. And post earnings, I'll give you a quick overview of some of the recent ratings that has come out. And so ultimately 4 days ago, $1.30 price target, UBS, William, 31% success rating. Then you had a hold by Oppenheimer 9 days ago. Then the rest are correlated with their earnings, of course. So you have $2, $2, and $2 by Stifel, TD, and also RBC. None of the ratings are any good from any of the analysts, but that's kind of normal for anyone covering the EV sector. So honestly, even just analysts see very limited upside. Based on the latest Morningstar report, it does show the fair value for ChargePoint, just simply based on the assets being $1.25. So it is below that. So again, it's just big money. There's better opportunity out there, and that's why big money is really gravitating towards that. Once there is a second boom with the market, potentially, then this is where you could see some bigger entities really starting to look for value, and maybe ChargePoint would stand out at that stage. But until that does happen, you are most likely going to see a pullback, and potentially, given where it is, you might see a reverse stock split. So right now it is below that 50-day moving average, below the ALMA, and yeah, below of course the other 100 and 200-day moving averages. Because of the pullback, you are seeing kind of the actual chart itself reset. So stochastic RSI was rather overbought because of their earnings, but it is starting to reset, so that's kind of a good thing. But nonetheless, you need a catalyst, and that's one thing that ChargePoint has always really struggled with. Even leading into their earnings, my last video, I said that yes, it could go up, only because of the expectations were so low. Not because they're going to put out a crazy catalyst, but just because the market hates them too much, if that makes sense. So honestly, I cover ChargePoint still, but I don't think that there's much more upside versus down at this stage. So I do feel that it is going to slowly trend down, even with potentially 3 rate cuts. It was just announced that they're assumed in 2025. Even if that was to come out, I don't know if that would really help ChargePoint and the fundamental business. So I think as of right now, it is just going to, like I said, continue down. So if you're looking at trading it, just watch for some of the strong support and resistance points. So $1.01, if that was to break, just on a side note, if that was to break, you are going to see a aggressive pull down. And that happens time and time again. A lot of stocks, when they kind of hover around that psychological $1 mark, and then if it breaks, then all Armageddon, like all bets are off. Everyone just sells like crazy. Algorithms, shorts will be very much happy, and they'll be pouncing even more than what they are. So you might see kind of all-time high short interest, which right now was done 32 or 33% in September. So nonetheless, let me know your thoughts on ChargePoint. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing I just want to share with you. I did launch a Patreon where I'm giving buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolute bangers. So just in the 3 weeks, I've already had a stock that doubled, one tripled. So definitely pop over there to take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.